Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Narayanam Namaskritya Naram Chaiv Narottamam Devim Saraswatim Vyasam Tato Jayamudire Nashtaprayeshu Bhadreshu Nityam Bhagavatu Sevaya Bhagavati Uttam Shloke Bhaktir Bhagavati Naishtiki. So continuing with the discussion on Srimad Bhagavatam, Canto 4, Chapter 29, talks between Narad and King Prachin Barhi, text number 62 onwards. Mamaite manasa yad yad asavaham iti bhruvan grihinayat tat pumana radham karmayen punarbhava. The living entity labors under the bodily conception of I am this, I am that. My duty is this, and therefore I shall do this. These are all mental impressions, and all these activities are temporary. Nonetheless, by the grace of the Supreme Personality of Godhead, the living entity gets a chance to execute all his mental concoctions. Thus, he gets another body. So, Narad Muni is continuing with how a living entity gets another body, this discussion. As long as one is absorbed in the bodily conception, his activities are performed on that platform. This is not very difficult to understand. In the world, we see that every nation is trying to supersede every other nation, and that every man is trying to advance beyond his fellow man. All these activities are going on under the name of advancement of civilization. There are many plans for making the body comfortable, and these plans are carried in the subtle body after the destruction of the gross body. It is not a fact that after the gross body is destroyed, the living entity is finished. Although many great philosophers and teachers in this world are under the impression that after the body is finished, everything is finished. This is not a fact. So Prabhupada says these plans are carried in the subtle body, means they're carried in the mind. Narad Muni says in this verse that at death, one takes his plans with him, and to execute these plans, he gets another body. This is called Punarbhava. When the gross body is finished, the plans of the living entity are taken by the mind. And by the grace of the Lord, the living entity gets a chance to give these plans shape in the next life. This is known as the law of karma. As long as the mind is absorbed in the laws of karma, a certain type of body must be accepted in the next life. But as long as the mind is absorbed in the laws of karma is, I have some plans in my mind which I want to execute. And can we imagine how many plans we have in our mind right now? Some could be in the forefront, some could be in the background, some could be in the seed form, which are there, but we don't even know of them. Hundreds and thousands of plans are there. And if we leave our body right now, definitely we're going to get another body. And we think we can execute our plans then. So there should be only one plan, actually. How can I serve Krishna? That's all. Rest everything, we have to leave it up to him. But it's difficult. I'm not saying it's easy. It's difficult because we have this body, gross body, and then we have our thought process, our desires, our dealings with others. Like today, I was reading a quote, a very beautiful quote, and I mean, he was godbrother of Srila Prabhupada. His quote that what is false ego? And he said, false ego is there to cover up our incredibly small, infinitesimal existence. Means we are 10,000 part of the tip of the hair, which is nothing. The false ego is there to just to cover it up. That now we think I'm something. And to maintain this false ego, we have so many plans. If we just plan to serve Krishna, Krishna, I just want to serve you. That's all I want. Rest everything, yes. I mean, because I'm fallen, I'm weak, I'm a rascal. All the plans come and go, but please don't let me dwell on any of these plans. And sincerely, and this is what chanting is. What is chanting? Sincerely, in a desperate mood, we should pray, Hey Radharani, Hey Krishna, please engage me in your service. I've had so many plans, and I still have so many plans. In future, I also have so many plans to serve Maya. But no, please, please, don't take me away from your service. Please let me be engaged in your service. That is chanting. That is our plan. But if we are not chanting, if we are just somehow completing our rounds, means we have plenty of other plans. So this is all we have to work upon. Karma is an aggregate of fruitive activities conducted to make this body comfortable or uncomfortable. We have actually seen that when one man was about to die, he requested his physician to give him a chance to live 4 more years so that he could finish his plans. This means that while dying, he was thinking of his plans. After his body was destroyed, he doubtlessly carried his plans with him by means of the subtle body, composed of mind, intelligence, and ego. Thus, he would get another chance by the grace of the Supreme Lord, the Super Soul, who is always within the heart. In the next birth, one acquires remembrance from the Super Soul and begin to execute the plans begun in the previous life. This is also explained in Bhagavad Gita in another verse. The Supreme Lord is situated in everyone's heart, O Arjuna, and is directing the wanderings of all living entities who are seated as on a machine made of material energy. Situated on the vehicle given by material nature and reminded by the Super Soul within the heart, the living entity struggles all over the universe to fulfill his plans, thinking I'm a Brahman, I'm a Kshatriya, I'm an American, I'm an Indian, and so on. All these designations are of the same essence. There is no point in becoming a Brahman in preference to an American or becoming an American in preference to a Negro. After all, these are all bodily conceptions under the modes of material nature. So we don't need any of these plans. So all we need plan is to serve Krishna, to serve Srila Prabhupada. That's all. And then our real spiritual life begins. And the Vaidhi Bhakti, the following the rules and regulations, when we perform this bhakti, right now we don't have attachment to serve Krishna. So Vaidhi Bhakti, when we keep on doing it over and over again, and try to do it with more sincerity, and we try to do it with more determination, then slowly, by Krishna's mercy, Krishna seeing our effort, seeing our desperateness, he gives some attachment. So then our plan shifts from material to spiritual. So slowly, that shifting has to happen. Not going to happen overnight. Not going to happen. But slowly, it can shift. So we should appreciate the efforts of all the devotees who are trying See, I mean, 99% of population is not even trying, don't even know about it. Whatever efforts devotees are putting in to shift that plans from serving Maya to serve Krishna, it's all appreciable. Should appreciate that. And we should help each other. How we can help. And this is what pleases Krishna. This is what pleases Prabhupada. And then they can infuse this. I won't say love, the love is too high a goal. Then they can infuse us with some attachment, some ruchi. So we can continue on. Text 43. Yatha numiyate chittam ubhyarindriya hita evam pragadehajam karma lakshate chitta vrittibhi. One can understand the mental or conscious position of a living entity by the activities of two kinds of senses, the knowledge acquiring senses and the executive senses. Similarly, by the mental condition or consciousness of a person, one can understand his position in the previous life. There is an English proverb that says the face is the index of the mind. If one is angry, his anger is immediately expressed in his face. Similarly, other mental states are reflected by the actions of the gross body. In other words, the activities of the gross body are reactions of the mental condition. The mind's activities are thinking, feeling, and willing. The willing portion of the mind is manifest by the activities of the body. The conclusion is that by the activities of the body and senses, we can understand the condition of the mind. The condition of the mind is affected by past activities in the past body. When the mind is joined with a particular sense, it immediately becomes manifest in a certain way. For instance, when there is anger in the mind, the tongue vibrates so many maledictions. Similarly, when the mind's anger is expressed through the hand, there is fighting. When it is expressed through the leg, there is kicking. There are so many ways in which the subtle activities of the mind are expressed through the various senses. The mind of a person in Krishna consciousness also acts in a similar way. The tongue chants Hare Krishna, the Mahamantra, the hands are raised in ecstasy, and the legs dance in Krishna consciousness. These symptoms are technically called Ashta Sattvic Vikar. Sattvic Vikar is transformation of the mental condition in goodness, or sometimes transcendental ecstasy. So when the mind is joined with a particular sense, it immediately becomes manifest in a certain way. So the condition of the mind, and Prabhupada nicely explains, if it is angry, then the tongue will start speaking so many things that we normally won't say. And the hands, if the anger is lowered to the hands, then the hands start fighting. And if it is lowered further to the legs, then the legs start kicking. That's all because in the mind, the anger is there. So these senses, the tongue, the hands, and the legs, on their own, they cannot do anything. But when the mind is triggering them to function, to act in certain way, they do. So the whole idea is to control the mind. And how do we control? By our intelligence. By making our intelligence strong, very sharp. So this is, and Maya is always there to test us, to entice us. So this is a constant struggle in our stage of life. It's a constant struggle between Maya and between Krishna. So more we engage ourselves in the service of Krishna, the chances are the Maya will not affect or Maya will not win. But as soon as we are out of the service of Krishna, Maya is right there, right there. And it's not that, now another way of thinking, looking at is also there. Sometimes we see devotees, we can take our own example, that we are chanting, sitting down, doing a japa. So the tongue is engaged, hands are engaged, but chances the mind is not engaged. Mind is somewhere else, thinking of something, whatever. So, okay, so we get the benefit of engaging our tongue, our hands, our body, and trying to engage our mind. But the mind could be somewhere else. This is how tricky the mind is. We could be in the house or in the temple doing the worship of the deities. Still the mind could be somewhere else. So it's a constant struggle. It's a constant struggle. But still, with intelligence, we are forcing our hands, our rest of the body, the tongue, the eyes to focus on Krishna, focus on Krishna. But the mind is still wandering all over the universe. So somehow or other, we have to bring it back. We have to, again and again, we have to bring it back. And focus, focus, focus. Nanubhutam kvachanena dehena drishtamashrutam kadachitup labhyeta tad yadrupam yadrigatmani. Sometimes we suddenly experience something that was never experienced in the present body by sight or hearing. Sometimes we see such things suddenly in dreams. In dreams, we sometimes see things that we have never experienced in the present body. Sometimes in dreams we think that we are flying in the sky, although we have no experience of flying. This means that once in a previous life, either as a demigod or astronaut, or could be a bird, we flew in the sky. Impression is there in the stockpile of the mind, and it certainly expresses itself. It is like fermentation taking place in the depths of water, which sometimes manifests itself in bubbles on the water's surface. Sometimes we dream of coming to a place we have never known or experienced in this lifetime. But this is proof that in a past life we experienced this. The impression is kept within the mind and sometimes becomes manifest either in the dream or in thought. The conclusion is that the mind is a storehouse of various thoughts and experiences undergone during our past lives. Thus, there is a chain of continuation from one life to another, from previous lives to this life, and from this life to future lives. This is also sometimes proved by saying that a man is born poet, a born scientist, or a born devotee. So because he has done plenty of those activities in the previous life, sometimes some children, they are very good singers or musicians, or some are very good in, say, math. I mean, they have practiced it in the previous lives. If, like Maharaj Ambrish, we think of Krishna constantly in this life, we will certainly be transferred to the kingdom of God at the time of death. Even if our attempt to be Krishna conscious is not complete, our Krishna consciousness will continue in the next life. In Bhagavad Gita, this is confirmed in 641. The unsuccessful yogi, after many, many years of enjoyment on the planets of the pious living entities, is born into a family of righteous people, or into a family of rich aristocracy. If we rigidly follow the principles of meditation on Krishna, there is no doubt that in our next life will be transferred to Krishna Lok, Golok, Vrindavan. So next life is definitely there because we had previous life. But the idea is, let's not have a next life. Let's finish it off this lifetime only. So that when we leave our body, we go back home, back to Godhead. Tenasya tadrisham rajan lingino deha sambhavam shaddat swana anubhuto artho na manah sprishtum arhati. Therefore, my dear king, the living entity who has a subtle mental covering develops all kinds of thoughts and images because of his previous body. Take this from me as certain. There is no possibility of concocting anything mentally without having perceived it in the previous body. Actually, the Supreme Personality of Godhead, Krishna, is the supreme enjoyer. When a living entity wants to imitate him, he is given a chance to satisfy his false desire to lord it over material nature. That is the beginning of his downfall. As long as he is within this material atmosphere, he has a subtle vehicle in the form of mind, which is a stockpile of all kinds of material desires. Such desires become manifest in different bodily forms. Srila Narad Muni requests the king to accept this fact from him because Narad is an authority. The conclusion is that the mind is a storehouse of our past desires, and we have this present body due to our past desires. Similarly, whatever we desire in this present body will be expressed in a future body. Thus, the mind is a source of different kinds of bodies. So mind is the source, and from it, the consciousness takes the form for the next body, and then when we leave the body, then the subtle body takes us to the new gross body. If the mind is purified by Krishna consciousness, one will naturally in the future get a body that is spiritual and full of Krishna consciousness. Such a body is our original form, as Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu confirms. Jivera Swarupa Krishnera Nityadas. Every living entity is constitutionally an eternal servant of Krishna. If a person is engaged in the devotional service of the Lord, he is to be considered a liberated soul, even in this life. This is confirmed by Srila Rupa Goswami. One who engages in the transcendental service of the Lord in body, mind, and words is to be considered liberated in all conditions of material existence. The Krishna consciousness movement is based on this principle. We must teach people to absorb themselves always in the service of the Lord, because that position is a natural position. So Prabhupada says we must teach people to absorb themselves always in the service of the Lord, because that position is a natural position. Absorb. So we know the meaning of absorption. Just like we take a piece of sponge and we put it in water, so it absorbs water. And full absorption means there is not a single space left in that sponge where there is no water. It's completely absorbed. So that's how absorption we have to achieve. Completely absorbed with the thoughts of Krishna, with the names of Krishna, always, that there is no space, not even little bitty space for Maya. That is absorption. And because that is our natural position, and actually that is our natural position. Jivera Swarupa Krishnera Nitya Das. Nitya. Nitya means eternal. Eternal means no beginning, no end. So in the spiritual world, every single person, every single entity there is absorbed in the thoughts of serving Krishna. Everyone. And somehow we left that place and came here. Now we are always absorbed in thoughts of serving ourselves, which is serving Maya. So from this absorption, we have to go back to the real absorption. And that is, since that is a natural position, that should be pretty easy. Because this is whatever we are doing right now, it's all temporary and it's all extraneous. It's all acting, nothing else. But this looks so real, this gives so much of pleasure. We don't want to give it up. But really, we should immediately be able to absorb the thoughts of Krishna, because that's a natural position. But it takes time. One who is always serving the Lord is to be considered already liberated. One who always engages in the spiritual activities of unalloyed devotional service at once transcends the modes of material nature and is elevated to the spiritual platform. Brahma Bhuyaya Kalpate. The devotee is therefore above the three modes of material nature and is even transcendental to the Brahman platform. A Brahman may be infected by the two baser modes, namely Rajoguna and Tamoguna. A pure devotee who is free from all material desires experienced on the mental platform and is also free from empiric philosophical speculation or fruitive activity is always above material conditioning and is always liberated. So that's a stage of pure devotional service. A pure devotee is always above material conditioning and is always liberated. So that is a stage we need to achieve. Manev manusyasya purva rupani shamsati bhavishyatash bhadram te tathav na bhavishyatah. O King, all good fortune unto you. The mind is the cause of living entities attaining a certain type of body in accordance with this association with material nature. According to one's mental composition, one can understand what the living entity was in his past life, as well as what kind of body he will have in the future. Thus, the mind indicates the past and future bodies. So, mind is an index of information about one's past and future lives. How? The way we behave in this lifetime, the way we deal with others, it pretty much gives an idea of how we led our previous lifetime. Some people are naturally in the mode of goodness. Some are in passion, naturally. Naturally means this is, in this life, this is very easy for them. And some people are completely in mode of ignorance. Because in the previous lifetime, they have developed this kind of sanskar. And now, whatever we are doing, this is creating our next body. So whatever kinds of sanskars we are putting in ourselves, in our consciousness, this is how we are going to behave next life. Some changes can happen, obviously, depending upon our association and what kind of activities we do. But more or less, it will remain the way we we create or where we mold it now. If a man is a devotee of the Lord, he cultivated devotional service in his previous life. Similarly, if one's mind is criminal, he was criminal in his last life also. In the same way, according to the mind, we can understand what will happen in a future life. In Bhagavad Gita, it is said, Urdhvam Gachanti Sattvastha. Those situated in the mode of goodness gradually go upward to the higher planets. Those in the mode of passion live on the earthly planets, and those in the mode of ignorance go down to the hellish worlds. So if we develop mode of goodness in this lifetime, although we might be in mode of goodness already because of previous sanskaras, or now because of association and because of our free will, we do have free will, and we start developing the mode of goodness, then means we'll go to the higher planets where everybody is in the mode of goodness, and we act in the mode of goodness. Although it's all temporary, but still it gives an idea of what we have done previously. If a person is in the mode of goodness, his mental activities will promote him to a higher planetary system. Similarly, if he has a low mentality, his future life will be most abominable. The lives of the living entity in both the past and the future are indicated by the mental condition. Narad Muni is here offering the king blessings of all good fortune, so that the king will not desire anything or make plans for sense gratification. The king was engaged in fruitive ritualistic ceremonies because he hoped to get a better life in the future. See, so far King Prachin Bharishat, he was performing these activities in the mode of passion. But somehow, because of maybe his Agyat Sukriti or whatever he did, he got the association of Narad Muni. And because of Narad Muni, now his life will completely change. Narad Muni desired him to give up all mental concoctions. As explained before, all bodies in heavenly planets and hellish planets arise from mental concoctions. And the sufferings and enjoyments of material life are simply on the mental platform. They take place on the chariot of mind, Manoratha. It is therefore said, Yasyasti Bhaktir Bhagavati Yakinchana. One who has unflinching devotion for the personality of Godhead has all the good qualities of the demigods. But one who's not a devotee of the Lord has only material qualifications that are of little value. This is because he is hovering on the mental plane and is certain to be attracted by the glaring material energy. So one who becomes a devotee, one who has unflinching devotion, has all the good qualities of the demigods. But one who's not, he has only material qualifications, and that are of little value. No value at all. Unless one becomes a devotee of the Lord or becomes fully Krishna conscious, he will certainly hover on the mental platform and be promoted and degraded in different types of bodies. All qualities that are considered good according to the material estimation actually have no value, because the so-called good qualities will not save a person from the cycle of birth and death. Conclusion is that one should be without mental desire, anya bhilashita shunyam. One should be free from material desires, philosophical speculation, and fruitive activity. The best course for a human being is to favorably accept the transcendental devotional service of the Lord. That is the highest perfection of human life. So we accept that, we perform devotional service, and we perform with great alacrity, great desperateness, determination, sincerity, urgency. And we create those sanskaras in our consciousness. The really, really deep sanskaras. then if we don't go back to Krishna Loka this lifetime, at least we take birth in a devotee family and we continue with our devotional service further. So those devotees who either are born in family of devotees or who have taken up devotional service this lifetime, whether they are young, whether they are old, so obviously they have performed plenty of devotional service previous lifetime. That's for sure. And now they are obviously we all had some material desires. So after fulfilling or getting frustrated in the process of fulfilling those material desires, we again came in contact with the devotees and again picked up the process so we can again make further progress. So that is why to judge a devotee in this lifetime, it's very detrimental to our devotional service because we don't know who that devotee was in the previous lifetime. We don't know. In this lifetime, okay, there's some Mataji, maybe like Archana Mataji or Shashwati Mataji, any other Mataji. They could be a sannyasi in the previous lifetime. It is possible. So little devotees like Shanvi is there or Cherry is there. They could be great devotees in the previous lifetimes. And it's what, 5, 6, 7, 8 years ago. That's it. There could be some great devotee somewhere. We don't know. So all we have to do is understand this truth, not go by the body in this lifetime. Just they are devotees, everybody is performing devotional service. We just have to respect that and appreciate that and help. Try to serve each other. That's why Prabhupada always try to put the stress on this one. Try to serve each other. Because we don't know. We don't know who that devotee was in the previous lifetime. Adrishtam ashrutam chatra kvachin mansi drishyase yatha tathanu mantavyam deshakala kriyashrayam. Sometimes in a dream we see something never experienced or heard of in this life. But all these incidents have been experienced at different times, in different places, and in different conditions. In the previous verse, it was explained that in dreams we see that which was experienced during the day. But why is it that we sometimes in a dream see what we have never heard of or seen at any time during this life? Here it is stated that even though such events may not be experienced in this life, they were experienced in previous lives. According to time and circumstance, they combine so that in dreams we see something wonderful that we have never experienced. For instance, we may see an ocean on the peak of a mountain, or we may see that the ocean has dried up. These are simply combinations of different experiences in time and space. Sometimes we see a golden mountain, and this is due to our having experienced gold and mountain separately. In the dream, under illusion, we combine these separate factors. In this way, we are able to see golden mountains or stars during the day. Conclusion is that these are all mental concoctions. And although they have actually been experienced in different circumstances, they are simply combined together in a dream. This fact is further explained in the following verse. So this is the science of dreams, and many people have written so many books on the dreams to analyze the dreams. And Prabhupada, in one purport, he has just completed everything. What are these dreams? And somehow, if we, although we forget what we dreamt about, but if we remember any part of the dream, One thing is for certain, the dream, it's not like when we sleep and the one incident goes on in our dreams. It just happens, bits and pieces here and there, here and there. But this is how Krishna has made it. Of course, if we are pure, if we are spiritually advanced, then Krishna can come in the dream, or Super Soul can come and give orders in the dream, like for Madhavendra Puri or so many devotees. Krishna has appeared and given orders in the dreams. And then the devotee, when he woke up, he really uh, took that order to be his life and soul, and he performed that service. So those dreams are different because for a devotee of that caliber, that level, even in the dream, or even when they're sleeping, they are performing service. So even in the dreams, they can perform service, or in the dream, Krishna can come and order them to do something, and they would do it when they wake up. So the dream and wakefulness, it's all the same because they're performing service 24 hours. But for us, we are in completely in mode of ignorance when we sleep, and we dream all the nonsense things go on in our dreams, in our mind. सर्वे क्रमानुरोधेन मनसीन्द्रिय गोचरः आयन्ति बहुशो यान्ति सर्वे समनसो जनः. The mind of the living entity continues to exist in various gross bodies, and according to one's desires for sense gratification, the mind records different thoughts. In the mind, these appear together in different combinations. Therefore, these images sometimes appear as things never seen or never heard before. The activities of the living entity, the body of a dog, may be experienced in the mind of a different body. Therefore, those activities appear never to have been heard or seen. The mind continues, although the body changes. Even in this lifespan, we can sometimes experience dreams of our childhood. Although such incidents now appear strange, it is to be understood that they are recorded in the mind. Because of this, they become visible in the dreams. The transmigration of the soul is caused by the subtle body, which is a storehouse of all kinds of material desires. Unless one is fully absorbed in Krishna consciousness, material desires will come and go. That is the nature of the mind, thinking, feeling, and willing. As long as the mind is not engaged in meditation on the lotus feet of the Supreme Personality of Godhead, Krishna, the mind will desire so many material enjoyments. Sensual images are recorded in the mind in chronological order, and they become manifest one after another. Therefore, the living entity has to accept one body after another. The mind plans material enjoyment, and the gross body serves as an instrument to realize such desires and plans. The mind is a platform onto which all the desires come and go. Srila Narottam Das Thakur therefore sings, Guru Mukha Padma Vakya Chitte Te Kauriyaye Kya Ar Na Kariha Mane Asha. Narottam Das Thakur advises everyone to stick to the principle of carrying out the orders of the spiritual master. One should not desire anything else. If the regulative principles ordered by the spiritual master are followed rigidly, the mind will gradually be trained to desire nothing but the service of Krishna. Such training is the perfection of life. So mind should not desire anything but the service of Krishna, following the orders of Guru. Then many times, even in the dreaming stage, we would be serving Krishna. because we are so absorbed in the service of Krishna, in the thoughts of Krishna. So that is why when devotees, when they are so engaged in the service, one particular service, whether it is cooking for Krishna, doing book distribution for Krishna, dressing for Krishna, cleaning Krishna's temple, and they're doing the service 7, 8, 10 hours a day, the mind is naturally absorbed in that. And even at night, they would be dreaming of the same service. And Krishna being Krishna, he is it's a Bhakta Vatsal, he is Deen Vatsal. He accepts that service, even if it is done in a dream. And because in Kali Yuga, we hardly have control over our mind. So one exemption is given in Kali Yuga that if we perform any sinful activity in our mind, whether in dreaming stage or wakeful stage, then that activity is not taken account of. Yes, the sinful activity, the mind's actions of thinking, feeling, willing, and then it comes into physical action. So it can translate into action physically or verbally, but as long as it is in the dream or it's in the mental stage, it's not considered good enough for punishment. But the service, even if we do it in the mind, it is taken into account. There's a beautiful story of a Brahmin. He was very poor, very, very poor. But he was a Brahmin and he always associated with sadhus. So in one katha he was attending, and then Sadhu Babaji said that you can even serve the Lord in your mind, even if you don't have physically or financially, you're not capable of purchasing anything. You can do the service in the mind, and Krishna accepts it. So this Brahman, he got very, very enlivened listening to this. He said, "Oh, that is good." So next morning he took shower and he sat down in his meditation, and in his dream he was collecting water from all the rivers, all the pure rivers of India, Kaveri, Narmada, Sindhu, Ganga, Jamna, from everywhere, and he had created the pots made of gold and studded with diamonds, because all was happening in his dream or in his mind, thought process. So he was collecting water from different rivers, and he brought the water to his place. And he, in a dream, he had created a temple, and the deity of the Lord, Lakshmi Narayan, was there, and he bathed the deity. He did the abhishek, and wonderful abhishek with different, just not this water, all the Shodash Upchar. He did wonderful abhishek, wonderful dressing of the deities, and in his mind only then he was cooking. And when we are cooking in the mind, there is no limit to the items we can offer. So he was cooking elaborate feast for the deities, and he was offering every day different items, a wonderful feast. And offering also goes on in nice silver, gold, or gold plates, and because everything he was creating in the dream. So one day he cooked after doing abhishek, and he prepared some sweet rice, kheer, and he offered it to the Lord. So in the bowl, when he was offering, he thought that actually the kheer should be served cold. It should not be served hot, because when it is cold, it tastes much better. So he touched his finger on the kheer in the dream, in the thought process only, to see if it is hot or if it is cold. And when he touched with his finger, he immediately came out of his meditation because his finger got burnt. His real finger, physical finger, got burnt. And he was amazed at what happened. And the Lord in Vaikuntha, he started smiling. And Lakshmi Devi was serving his lotus feet. He said, "My dear Lord, why are you smiling? What happened?" The Lord says, "Oh, I'm just thinking of my devotee serving me so nicely. And this is what happened." And his finger got burnt. So Lakshmi Ji said, "Now what you going to do?" So Lord said, "Just wait." So Lord sent his Vishnu Dutas to that Brahman's house, and they brought him in the self same body. They brought him to Vaikuntha Loka. So in the dream, only, in the thought process, only he did his service. In meditation, only he did his service. But he did his service so wonderfully. He was completely absorbed. So this is the process of devotion service. The Lord accepts our devotion service in any way we can do. So yes, he accepts even if we do physically and not mentally, but it's better we do perfectly with full absorption, because that will be pure devotion service, and that is the one that is going to purify us and take us back to Godhead. So anyway, we'll stop here. See anybody has any questions or comments.
Hare Krishna, Prabhuji. I have a question. Prabhuji, actually, you were telling about the dreams in this class. I have also experienced some things. You know, sometimes I have experienced that I have seen something in my dream, like what I've seen in the dream that is actually happening in the future. So, is it also possible? I have felt it many times that what I have seen in my dreams, and I have felt it that okay, this is what I have seen somewhere in my dreams.
Yeah, sometimes can give us, Krishna can give us premonition, what is it called? He can tell us what is going to happen in the future also in a dream, but that only happens, it depends upon how advanced we are. But Krishna can make anything happen. So that's why sometimes Krishna is called, but sometimes advanced devotees are called Trikalagya. So Trikalagya, they know past, present, and future because they can see the future. In our cases, yes, Krishna can give some glimpse here and there. But devotees can see.
Thank you. Thank you.
Those who are spiritually advanced, they can really see the future.
Hare Krishna, Prabhuji.
Hare Krishna.
Prabhuji, when we say कि we have an intuition ये होने वाला है, is it something like is a dream we should relate it to, or is it like just a normal feeling, or
It could be Paramatma sitting in our heart, giving us some hint. It could be that.
Okay.
Like earlier we read, no? Prabhupada says if we are pure, then Paramatma can speak to us and we'll listen to Paramatma. And Paramatma can tell us many things.
प्रभु कोमल के साथ बहुत होता है, किसी भी कोई ड्रीम ऐसा वो देख लेती है एंड देन मॉर्निंग में शी जस्ट से कि कुछ गड़बड़ होने वाली है, मैंने कुछ ड्रीम में देखा है. इज इट समथिंग, मतलब ये भी के साथ intuitions and dreams, it's all like psychological, or
No, it could be true. It could be true.
पर होता है, उसका तो हो जाता है, हमने बहुत बार देखा है कि वो आके बोलती है ना कि कोई स्पेशली बुरी बात बहुत जल्दी वो डिक्लेयर कर देती
तो बच्चा थोड़ा एडवांस्ड है, तो ध्यान रखना।
मुझे बहुत लोगों ने पहले भी बोला, एंड स्पेशली किसी की डेथ वेथ होनी होती है ना फैमिली में प्रभु जी, वो आके पहले ही बोल देती है, एंड 1 वीक में कुछ ना कुछ न्यूज आ जाती है।
तो बच्चे को ज्यादा डांटा वांटा मत करो।
वो डांटने वाली चीज नहीं है प्रभु जी, आपको लगता है? But I was just reading this, पढ़ रहे थे, तो I was just thinking ये कुछ पास्ट के कुछ होते होंगे ऐसा, या
Yeah, it depends on the advancement of the soul.
थैंक यू प्रभु जी।
You're welcome. Okay, so I guess we can stop here. You all have a wonderful and safe day, and please try to attend that program on Zoom, whatever time it starts. So I'll also see if I can attend for a while. Thank
Yes,
you
Prabhu.
all. Have a safe and wonderful day.
Which
All good.
which one,
Thank you,
Prabhu?
Prabhuji.
Which one, Prabhu?
Hare Krishna।
Hare
What's
Krishna,
that?
Prabhuji.
Sorry, which one, Prabhu? Which program you were talking about?
At Dipanshu Prabhu's, your place?
Oh, okay. Thank you, Prabhu.
You forgot?
No. I was just about to send a gentle reminder to everybody.
Okay, thank you all very much. Jai Srila Prabhupada.
जय
Hare
श्री
Krishna,
प्रभुपाद,
Jai
हरे
Shri
Thank you so
कृष्णा।
much.